Start with Ryan Abert. Ryan.
Yeah, Ted asked you a little bit about this after the game on Saturday, but that three-man front y'all used some Saturday. What was your impression going back and looking at the tape on it, the way that y'all adjusted to it as the game went on, and how big of a piece can that be for y'all moving forward?
Well, every week is its own week, and that was what we decided to do last week from a game plan standpoint. And we got punched in the mouth the first series, but I was proud of how our guys responded and then stopped them for 12 straight series. So I was proud of that. And at the same time, we've got to fix, some things that the first series. But it's this, again, being proud of how our guys responded, because on the road, getting punched in the mouth and how they responded was critical.
Ted, when you look at the tackles for loss, look at the sacks, leading the nation in one of those categories, how much is this just validation to these players when we look at all the buy-in all summer long and to see it prevail on the field? How much do you see that maybe extra jumping their step a little bit, knowing that what they're doing is working?
Well, I think that, you look at this system over the last 10 years in college football, it has led the country in tackles for losses and sacks. But at the same time, it's about Team 128. It's about this year. And I think our guys have, with the level of buy-in, they're seeing some of the fruits of their labor pay off as far as that to create negative yardage plays, because that's such a big deal in football now.
Yeah, Ted, second straight week you're playing a quarterback that the Sooners played against last year. You weren't here for those games, but very unusual situation. How much can you guys glean from, to even look at last year's Texas game or last year's Nebraska game, just to get a read on these quarterbacks at new places?
Well, you watch everything, because it's a different jersey, different team, different system, but same player. So you watch it all. We're scouring to the ends of the earth to try and get information, and watching the video, mannerism, things like that. But we have a lot of respect for him. Extremely mobile, throws a great deep ball. So we know we have our work cut out for us.
They don't seem to have unleashed him much passing so far. Do you expect that change, or what do you think?
We expect everything, and we're going to prepare for everything. What we do know is that Kansas State is a very physical, disciplined, tough football team that plays for 60 minutes every week. So to prepare for a really good fight, and these guys, we got a lot of respect for them, and we're going to have to play very disciplined, very physical ourselves in order to have a chance to win.
Stay on the right side, Justin.
You mentioned scouring and to put together the film on these guys. Who are some guys maybe behind the scenes that help out with that process of getting that scouting report done?
Well, it's a combination of a lot of folks, and that thing about working here under Coach Venables is that everybody and everybody's role is appreciated and valued. So none of us are any more important than anybody else. So that's the environment, and that's the culture that he's set. So from that standpoint, it's wonderful, and to be able to count on guys to try and stay a step ahead, if there is such a thing in college football, staying a step ahead. Yeah.
Ted, against Nebraska, you got a lot of guys in early in that defense, and ran a lot of guys in. Kanik got in early in the second and played the rest of the game, it seemed like.
Yeah.
Talk about, that had to be a great thing for you, that you got so many young guys into the game and played so many guys in the game.
Yeah, it is. Some guys, it's human nature. You wish it wasn't, but for a lot of people it is human nature. As far as the preparation, when guys think they're going to have a larger role than if they're not going to see the field. But at the same time, everything we do in practice matters. Every rep counts, and it also helps from a development standpoint. Is because you develop certainly by practice, but you develop by playing as well. And to run out there in front of that crowd for some guys that had never a large percentage of our roster had never played a road game. You know, so I mean, in that environment, so that was really beneficial, and provided we use it the right way, which I'm sure we will. But you know, from a preparation standpoint, and develop some depth where it's not, you know, 3 or 4 reps at the end of a game. That's critical, and the guys that work hard deserve that too. And we were fortunate that we would be able to do that, and at the same time to take some reps off of the, you know, the guys that start and play the most.
What do you think of Kannick and Witter, how they played as that linebacker?
I think they, you know, Jaron was very productive, made some big plays for us, and you know, a lot of areas to improve on as well. And but that's all of us every day, and but he's very prideful and cares a lot and works his tail off as far as to prepare. And I have a lot of respect for Jaron, and he's going to be a really good player here before he leaves Oklahoma. And as far as Shane, you know, Shane came back and played fast, you know, and Shane can run, and you know, to be able to build reps with Shane as well, because he hasn't played that much during the course of his career. So to be able to gain more and more quality reps, that's, you know, you can't put a price tag on that.
Yeah, on a similar note, I know you guys were confident in the unit coming into the year, but is there anywhere in those first 3 weeks where the depth has surprised you and the ability, not just to get these guys in there, but for them to produce when they are?
I don't know if surprise is the right word. I've been pleased that that's been able to happen, you know. Very pleased. Anytime you're in a situation where you can do that, that's very fortunate, because again, you know, you're a developmental program as far as developing your players, to give them chances to get out there and play and compete. So no, I don't know. Surprise. I think that we're fortunate that we've been able to do that.
I guess then if you're pleased, what has allowed that to be the case? What's made that happen?
Well, when we've got out ahead in some games, and you know, had a chance to do that, fortunately. But at the same time, you've got to roll people, because this is a long season, and there are a lot of snaps, you know. So it's to be able to build that, so that when somebody does get injured, not a matter of if, but when that does happen, that guy's not going out there for the first time wondering what he needs to do in order to be successful, that he's already experienced that and has a foundation, has a platform to be able to go do that.
Ted, you guys have talked about complementary football, and you know, and when you look at Saturday's game with the way the offense was able to score, you guys were able to get stops, you know, for a lot of that game. Just how big was Saturday's game and kind of going towards complementary football the way you guys have talked?
Well, it was huge. You know, there were a lot of instances like the first drive of the second half, you know, to go out and get a takeaway, and then to come back and get our offense back on the field, and at the same time, you know, complementing one another with the style that we play. And it's, you know, that's what the teams that win championships, that's what they do. But we're just trying to get through week 4 right now. Yeah, we're not going to get ahead of ourselves.
Yeah, Kansas State's got a pretty electric rusher at Deuce Vaughn.
Yes.
Just what stands out about him, and how important will it be to keep him in check this weekend?
You're talking about one of the nation's best running backs in Deuce Vaughn. Certainly in the run game, he's got great hips and feet and vision, and you know, he's got a lot of patience too. Well, he'll stay back there and all of a sudden wait for somebody to get nosy and jump out of their gap, and then here he goes. And at the same time, he's a weapon, you know, in the throwing game as well too. So they throw him they get him very creative in how they get him the ball. And again, we have a lot of respect for him, and he's one of the best backs in the nation, and we know it's a great challenge for our guys.
Yeah, Ted, Key Lawrence had the strip and the interception late. He didn't start, but how do you feel like he responded to that situation, the environment just overall? And then how did that dovetail maybe into how your secondary played overall?
Well, I was pleased with how Key played. You know, he made some, like you said, some big plays for us, and you know, played well. And that's a really competitive situation. And you know, when you have competition at positions, that helps everybody. That's win-win. So moving forward, to continue to evaluate that as we go, and you know, make each other better.
The secondary overall, I feel like
I thought they played well. You know, As far as the explosive pass plays, there were more than we'd like, but at the same time, I thought they played well, and thought they made some plays on the balls. We missed some plays on the ball that we had opportunities to, but to go back and improve in that area. But I was pleased, yeah.
When you self-scout, how much does that secondary play, their ability to cover, contribute to the TFLs and sacks?
Rush and coverage work together. When guys have to hold on to the quarterbacks have to hold on to the ball longer, it gives your rush a chance to work when you're playing great coverage. And at the same time, sometimes your rush complements the coverage. So it's a complementary relationship there between rush and coverage. And sometimes when you drop 8, they're going to have longer to throw it. So your coverage has got to let the 3 guys that are rushing, work. And at the same time, when you bring pressure, hey, you got to help the coverage out. You got to get home. So it goes hand in hand. Sure.
Coach, you mentioned the 12 series where your team was able to keep them off the scoreboard. Did you learn anything new about your guys? Because human nature might suggest that got a big lead like that, maybe on defense, slack off a little bit, or maybe you give up bigger plays because the game's, for all intents and purposes, almost over. Like with the backups, did you maybe learn anything new about your guys that they were able to stay focused for that long throughout the entirety of the game?
Well, again, I was proud that we got the punch in the mouth early and responded, and at the same time, to your point, our expectation is that we play to a standard here. We don't play to a scoreboard. We play to a standard. And, we don't want guys watching the scoreboard. We want guys thinking about what they're supposed to do, how they're supposed to do it, and the way that they're supposed to do it. And, I was just as proud of the older guys when the younger guys got in, that they were behind the bench going over the corrections with them or the adjustments. So, again, staying fully engaged, and that's the culture here, set by Coach Venables.
Ted, it seemed like Ethan and Jonah both had really good games for you over the weekend. How'd you feel about the way your ends played?
I was pleased. I thought they both played well. I thought Reggie played well, at the same time. So that's a good thing. And you've just seen that group continue to get better and better and better, and need that trend to continue. Coach Davis has done a wonderful job with those guys, and those guys have bought into what they need to do to be successful. So it's been something that's good so far, and at the same time, like I said, it's all about getting better. Yeah.
Anything else for Coach? Jerry?
Yeah. Ted, how do you think, we're now 3 games into 9-10 months into Brent being a head coach, how do you think he's done in terms of, what are the strengths you've seen in the way he's developing the program?
He's a very, very strong leader that values everybody. He's able to articulate a very clear vision so that we can all try and establish that vision, the culture that he's created, from an accountability standpoint, from a discipline standpoint, from a toughness standpoint, and then the impact that he has in recruiting. I mean, so it's, he's involved in every phase of our program, and he's been an extremely strong leader, and it makes it good to come to work for a guy like that every day. That also really cares about the development, not just what happens on the field, but cares about our guys, what kind of men they become. And it's not that way everywhere, but it sure is here.
Okay. Last one, James.
Chad, Kansas State seems to me to be a team that develops plays, quarterback run game, which is always so hard for defenses to stop.
Yeah, because
are they still doing that?
You got to commit numbers to it, and then when you commit numbers to try and stop one thing, well, every defense and every call has a strength, and every defensive call has a stress point. So to manipulate and move that stress point so that we don't become predictable for them as well.
Thanks,
Sure.
Coach.
All right.